Knock, knock.
Who's there?
KGB.
KGB?
Viva ask the questions!
What the hell was that?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Hey, hey!
This is The Office, and this is The Paper.
We're enjoying this meeting. Everyone's sort of nodding a little bit.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I am actively agreeing with you. Now, you act like you came up with another good idea. Put up your hand.
It's sort of a spin-off and a sequel and a remake of their much-beloved previously mentioned sitcom. If that sounds confusing, that's because it kinda is. Initially, when this project was announced, it was heralded with excitement and fervor. However, now that all 10 episodes of the first season of the show have premiered, it feels much more like a misfire than honoring what came before.
I'm sorry that she made you dress up like that. I know that's not really your thing.
I dress up.
The Paper feels like neither fish nor fowl. The idea for both of the previous American and UK offices was simple. A workplace comedy centered in some sort of dead-end industry that's so boring that it becomes a stand-in for every white-collar job across the world. Familiar social archetypes, quirky characters, and frustratingly cringe bosses became indelible icons across global culture. So when it came time for Greg Daniels to return to his previously beloved universe, everyone assumed it would be a slam dunk. However, the show just isn't that great. It feels self-conscious and uncomfortable with itself. It's trying to break the mold and also pay respects to what came before, which is a mixture that rarely works. The Paper centers on Ned Sampson, an optimistic, if somewhat oblivious man who, after becoming a highly successful toilet paper salesman, selects the Toledo Truth Teller, a local newspaper in Ohio, as his next quest.
I didn't want to be Superman. I wanted to be Clark Kent. Because to me, Clark is the real superhero. He's saving the world too by working at a newspaper.
The pilot quickly introduces us to a rather large cast of stock archetypes. You have your annoying right-hand man and your frustrating manager who oversteps and is overbearing. She's mostly used by the show as a means to generate conflict. Of course, what workplace sitcom would be complete without the cute single girl for our main character to have a will they won't they, which obviously ends with them getting together. The Paper's mockumentary aesthetic is so quintessentially The Office, it's almost annoying. The pilot opens with a surprise cameo from Bob Vance of Vance Refrigeration, info-dumping what happened to the old Dunder Mifflin offices. Oscar Martinez from the original show is now a supporting character in The Paper. They give him this convoluted subplot of taking a job with the new company in Toledo and not wanting to be a part of the documentary for the majority of the season, which the character mentions any chance he gets.
Nobody wants this. You know what? You can't use my voice, my likeness, my face, nothing.
The Paper lacks the originality, spontaneity, and unique novelty that the original Office had. It feels like a Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox. It's a program that exists to attempt to recapture the magic of the long-running sitcom, but without any real point to make. The show is literally about a journalistic endeavor struggling to justify its existence. This sounds like a background that is primed for the narrative conflicts that speak to today's issues. The problem is because it's related to The Office, the show can't actually make any real points or criticize any of the current political climate. It's a show that's not allowed to have bite. Once every few episodes, the show tries to brush up against actually important topics, but it usually executes those ideas in the safest and most cotton swab marshmallow way possible. Take, for example, the episode where a group of high schoolers visit the Toledo Truth Teller to learn about journalism and are rapidly proven to have more journalistic integrity and experience than any of the employees of the paper. Or the episode where Ned and the gang are forced to review Korean beauty products for clickbait articles instead of doing actual investigative reporting. Not only is this a frustrating narrative to experience, but it also undercuts any actual point that the show half-heartedly attempts to make about how journalism is under fire and is an essential component of the American experiment. There's real dramatic and comedic potential in breaking down and critiquing the fact that Americans would rather watch TikTok and YouTube than experience long-form, thoughtful, investigative journalism. But when the show attempts to glancingly brush up against these topics, they can't even execute that right. In episode 4, Ned gets into a petty disagreement with a teenager running a blog called So Wesley that has 300,000 subscribers.
Our budget is still carrying pensions from typesetters who retired in 1991 who keep living. And this kid just hits publish for free, and it's not even good.
He attempts to admonish a grammatical error in a post and gets into a comedic back and forth with a literal child. This not only undercuts his standings as a character, but also the show's ability to critique how journalistic efforts have fallen. To add insult to injury, for the first half of the season, there's a very strange runner that pops up in multiple episodes about Ned's sexual impropriety. First, he's falsely accused of Me Too accusations, then he's trying to not abuse his power as Mare's boss, while obviously still having a thing for her. It's a deeply strange and an unfunny thing to incorporate into your sitcom. The way The Office functioned is that David Brent and Michael Scott pioneered a fresh form of comedy that many viewers had not been exposed to: cringe comedy. Culturally inappropriate jokes that were awkwardly filmed in real time with supporting characters breaking the narrative tension by looking into the lens of the camera.
Phallus?
Phyllis, sorry. I've got penises on the brain. Back to work, everybody.
This approach to comedy, which was wildly inventive at the time, is now pat and formulaic. How many times can you make this magic trick work? Greg Daniels and Mike Schur attempted to make this magic trick work again by introducing Leslie Knope in Parks and Recreation. However, audiences really did not respond well to Leslie being a negative source of conflict in season 1. So when the show was brought back for season 2, they quickly pivoted her away from being female Michael Scott and instead redefined her as someone who is unflinchingly positive and believes in the transformative power of government. This new version of Leslie saved the television show and propelled Parks and Rec into being another modern-day classic. It's keenly obvious that Daniels and company were attempting to make that same course correction from the get-go with Ned. They try to make Ned a hopeful, optimistic narrative center of the show. They basically try to combine Leslie Knope and Jim from The Office into one character. Because he is both the hopeful, optimistic center of the show and also the narrative driver of the show, and also the will they won't they lead of the show, everyone else feels second fiddle. Sure, there's another minor running romantic subplot with Detrick and Nicole, or the quirky antics that Esmeralda and Ken get up to, but they're usually not particularly memorable or exciting. The Office and Parks were both very balanced shows, but that's also because they had 22 episodes per season to experiment and mix and match character dynamics. The Paper only has 10. The Paper really feels like a season-long pilot. Multiple characters are attempted to be developed, but very few of them stand out or are memorable. It's fun to revisit some old Office supporting cast members, but it feels too insubstantial to be a real catch-up and too major to be a glancing cameo. It lands in a middle gray area that doesn't feel like it knows what it wants to be. Does this show want to be a searing takedown of the media landscape in 2025? Is it really going to plant a flag and make hard statements and present truths about the way our media landscape has shifted and evolved, both for the better and the worse? Or is it a brainless background second screen style TV show that you can watch while you're trapped on an airplane? Right now, it's neither.
Oh, shit.
The biggest problem that The Paper suffers from is that it's attempting to tell stories on a canvas that is fundamentally too large for what they're going to be allowed to do. The Office and Parks were both about small, intimate settings that were steeped in mundanity and the doldrum of workaday lives. The Paper wants the same approach. It wants to be able to dip its toes into larger discussions about where the country is headed and what journalistic integrity means, while also having wacky hijinks set at a regional reporting award show. The problem is that when it's doing one of these ideas, the other overshadows it. The show seems to be constantly fighting itself, just like Ned Sampson desperately attempting to hide his extremely cliche feelings for Mare in the season 1 finale. The only saving grace in all of this is that we've seen Greg Daniels pull a careening vehicle out of a ditch before. Maybe he can do it again. And that's all we have for this episode. What do you think? Was The Paper doomed from the start? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, like and subscribe for more Nerdstalgic videos just like this.